Hello and welcome to Every Day with an Angel. I'm Natasha Venter. I am a multi life intuitive. I am one who is here to support you in life. I'm a spiritual counselor. I'm also one that is an energy seer, a medium. I love to support you going through life, and I love to speak. And if you haven't noticed this, I'm on a lot of different things, and so my mini videos are now Every Day with an Angel minis for the podcast. Because how can you be every day with an angel and not necessarily have you know these minis along, right? How are you going to spend every day with me if it's only once a week, right? So I'm
Mhm.
live once a week now, Wednesdays at 4 o'clock Pacific time. And I'm so grateful for everyone to be here who's going to be here. And so this is my wonderful, well, we've come into a friendship. We haven't had a chance to talk because we've really been busy. So we haven't been able to talk, but I was on her show. It was like back in June, July, somewhere in there.
We're somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Veronica. And then, and so I'm getting comments on the side here. I forgot to tell you that. I'm getting comments on the
Okay,
side, and if they're pertinent comments, I'll put them over, but if they're just little hi
okay.
things, that kind of stuff. But, I was on Stacy's show here around July, I think it was, and we just connected, had a great conversation about life and doing things, and now I asked her to come on mine, and this was the first opening that she had. Yes. And then I just signed up to be on your show, sometime, in November,
Mhm.
again, and yours is recorded, but, it's one of those things. So, Stacy, can you tell people a little bit about you, please?
Sure. So my name is Stacy, and I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, and I'm also an author of 20 best-selling books. And my journey was a very interesting one. At the age of 5, I actually had an ear infection and a little virus, and my parents heard a gurgling sound in the other room. They came to check on me, and I was in a grand mal seizure, turning blue, and they rushed me to the hospital. And they told my parents that the virus I had traveled to my brain and had transferred over to encephalitis, and they induced me into a coma. And they said, most likely, if she comes out, she'll probably be paraplegic or she'll have brain damage. So my parents were devastated by this news. And my dad, who comes from a small Greek island, there's like one church and one statue. And
Mhm.
he was and visualizing the statue. The teardrops used to fall down the statue's eyes. And he was praying to the statue, and he was asking for prayers and hoping that I would be okay. And on the fourth day that I was in a coma, I looked up, and after he had prayed, and I teardrop rolled from my eyes, and I opened my eyes up and I asked for McDonald's French fries. And
As a kid would, I hope.
as a kid would, yeah, everyone gets a kick when I tell them that. And so then, life, I didn't have brain damage. I wasn't paraplegic, but I did end up with epilepsy. To this day, they can't locate the scar tissue in my brain that causes the epilepsy. But it was it was a roller coaster ride, my life. I had a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles to endure, just like everybody else. And when I got into college, it became more challenging because that late night studying, the stress of getting good grades, my seizures had increased. And it got to a point where I didn't even know if I was actually going to be able to finish college. And that was kind of on my bucket list. I wanted to do it. And so what I did I went to the library, and there was no books at all on epilepsy. There was a couple of books on the bookshelf. They were written by doctors in medical terminology, and it just went over your head if you weren't a medical doctor. So it really annoyed me. And I wrote an article into the Epilepsy Foundation, and I asked for that. At that time, they had a magazine. I asked them to publish the letter, and the letter said, I asked people, how do you cope with epilepsy? How do you get through it? And to my surprise, 300 to 400 letters around the nation and around Canada came to my home, and I read these letters. I was very inspired. People poured out their heart to me. They shared their stories. And I was actually able to, like, for the first time in my life, realize that I wasn't alone, that there were a lot of people out there just like me that felt the same way. And
Mhm.
I took all that information. I created my own little regiment, and I got through college. I graduated, and I went on and I worked in the city, and I had a big corporate job. And then, I had I had a seizure one day, and I was actually released from my position because of the seizure. Someone had saw me took a seizure. They walked over me, kept walking, and then not shortly after, I was released from my position. And I didn't let it get to me. I said, one day I'm going to be a success. One day, I'm going to become the person who I always dreamed of becoming. And so I walked out of there with my head up high, and I just I started my own little freelance business, and I started writing for lots of different people, and I met people from all over. And then one day I met an herbalist, and he needed a lot of research done on health, and he needed a lot of holistic living research or about herbs, supplements,
Mhm.
detox. And I said, wow, a lot of these things could actually apply to my life. And I started applying things that I thought would be beneficial. And my seizures went from 12 seizures to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, to the point where they were controlled. So with the
Wow.
combination of my medication, holistic living, changing my lifestyle, changing the way I ate, adding supplements, detoxing, the whole works, doing meditation, doing yoga, everything put together, my seizures actually became controlled. And so I started to make a blog and start to talk about it. And I realized that, the holistic living and healing the body naturally can, apply to more than just epilepsy. It could apply to everybody. So I
Mhm.
started my own blog, and back then it was Blogger, like Google gave out a free little blog to everybody who wanted it. And I started writing on that, and right away 400 people came on, started reading it and commenting, and I was like, wow, and then one day I just happened to meet a website designer, and he needed a person to write content for his websites that he was designing. He said, wow, I could really make a nice website for you. I said, oh, great, that'd be awesome. And he created this website, and it grew from 400 to 10,000 to over 100,000, and it just grew and grew and grew. And before I knew it, I said, when I got all those letters, I put together, I said one day I was going to write a book when I got it, because they were so inspiring. And I put all those letters together that I thought were really inspiring. I put the regiment that I created together, and I created my book, Epilepsy, You're Not Alone, that actually hit a bestsellers list.
Wow.
And I actually rewrote it during COVID, the end of the 22, because so many things had changed in the epilepsy community, and it's now a bestseller in the bookstore. And so, what really changed my life was when I got an email, and I opened it up, and it said, I was on the verge of suicide, but I read your book, and you gave me the momentum to want to live. And he
Oh,
said, thank you. And that's when I realized the power of words, the wisdom of words, how, what we say verbally, what we do, our actions, what we put on paper, everything has a humongous impact, and how we
doesn't
could
it?
change lives. It really does. I don't think people realize, when we
Mm.
open our mouths verbally and we say things to other people, or we put things on paper, or we post things, you could really be really impacting someone's life in a good way and a bad way. So you really have to be careful how we use our words. But if you want to do something really good with that, you could really change a person's life. And right then and there, I realized what my purpose in life was. I realized what I wanted to do with my life, and I wanted to help others. And that's when I went on the road, and I started writing books. I started writing articles. I appeared on TV shows, radio shows, talk shows, and I started talking about holistic living. And then later on, I started to focus on actually overcoming obstacles and rising above the chaos and gaining the courage to move forward to reach your true potential. And that's what I do right now. Is I do a lot of speaking events, and I talk about that, and I talk about also I also do a lot of coaching also. And I started to actually do some podcast coaching, because my podcast went to over 1 million views. And so people wanted to know how I did it. So I started to coach on how to build a podcast. And so that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing right now too. So along with helping people overcome obstacles, I also do that. And I try to just help people. My most enjoyment in life is the feeling of achievement when I help somebody. I feel like that's the greatest feeling in the world. And I realized that when that email came through, and words can't even explain, it's just, whoever I could help, I love to be able to help change lives. And that's what I set out my goal to do in life, is to help others.
Well, congratulations. I mean, that's a journey in life. We're all about how can we come through. I know that a lot of my story hasn't necessarily, well, the last couple years it's been about my health, but a lot of it was my dyslexia,
Mhm.
persevering through that stumbling. How can I work with it even though it pelts me back? Like today I was like, there's like about 5 times I had a name, different names that were like all of a sudden there's this empty space when
Yeah.
I tried to say the name, and I'm like going, either I could be hard on myself or I can move through it. And
Yes.
and you know, and just tell people, hey, today's my day where names are holes in my
Yeah.
terminology. And I'm so
Mhm.
sorry. I'm trying to get through it. So I'm gonna try to give you enough information so you come up with a name yourself. Right. I'm like going, how, today would be one of those days where I would probably forget my husband's name. It's one of those things that, but how do we negotiate this? But our bodies right now are so important. People
Yes.
are forgetting about our bodies,
Oh, it's
you know?
so
Eh, it
yeah.
is, and I know for me that the last, like, let's say 3 years, that I 4 years, I've been really going down deep into my adrenals because they be my body stopped producing hormones even,
Yeah.
so I got to that point where my body was getting ready to go to some rabbit hole, and it
Yeah.
was giving me enough information to catch it, you know?
Yes.
And so the place I started was hormones. It was the
Yeah.
simplest place to start. And
Mhm.
then I figured out, oh, well, it's the adrenals and the thyroid that make the hormones. So then it's that getting them started because I realized how much I was in fear of flight for so many years, and that's your adrenals, right?
Right.
And then, if your adrenals aren't working, which I always take the adrenals as kind of like the alternator of a car, it's
Yeah.
like it feeds the battery, it feeds your energy, and
Yeah.
then the rest of them, your thyroid, and then I'm really noticing now, like I've been really working on my liver for the last 2 years and how interactive, interweaving it is on so many minute microscope levels
Yeah.
of how it
Mhm.
supports every organ of the body,
Yes.
even though people don't realize that. And then now, since I had such a nut allergy that has come airborne, and I know protein I know nuts don't have the protein to be airborne, but there's even a book out now for us who are hypersensitive that there's a gene that kind of goes, I'm active. I can grab onto that. I know we're allergic to that, so I'll go into that anaphylactic,
I like yeah.
yeah, results of it. And so with that, now I'm healing my lungs, which is
Right.
about regrets and grief and the stories and why are we holding on to this breath of life and so healing, that aspect is healing other things. So if you start working on your organs, it's amazing what comes up for their emotions. So,
Yeah.
and that's that holistic whole picture, because if you're working on your health, you're working on your emotions. If you're working on your emotions, you're working on your health. And if you want to
Right.
get out of the rabbit hole we're in, there are ways to heal it. Not
Yeah.
everything,
Right.
most everything can be healed
Exactly. Exactly. I don't think
or
people
managed.
realize I don't think people realize that the mind, body, and soul is all connected.
Yes.
So your body is constantly talking to you, and people don't, pick up the signals. And when you're in pain, that's your body. Your body is there's something wrong, and inflammation is building up, and it's causing pain, and it's sending a message to the brain, hey, this isn't working right. I'm in, and the pains begins, but I think when you connect the mind, body, and soul together and you start really, working on how you feel and who you are as a person, when you start understanding yourself, you start understanding what you need, what your body needs. And I always like to do meditation. I think when you start with meditation and you start
Mhm.
really clearing the mind, clearing the clarity so you can be more have more clarity, and you could be more focused, and you really start being aware of how your body reacts. How your body reacts when you eat certain foods, how your body reacts when you do certain things, your stress level. 71% of all illnesses are caused by stress. Stress breaks down the walls of the immune system, and that, itself can just be like a welcome mat, for all illnesses to
Mhm.
come into your body. And you'll see when people are under the most stress is that's when they get sick, and they can't, and things start to happen. And so there, you have to learn how to deal with, stress. And that's an important issue too. When we live in a go-go society. Everyone's on a rush. Everyone feels like they need to be accomplishing so many things, and everybody forgets that tomorrow's a new day, and everybody tries to get everything done, and they get stressed out. And you have to just take everything day by day. And if things don't go your way, you have to start trying to learn how to just remember that we are humans, and we do make mistakes, or things don't always go as planned. And, you have to just learn how to accept it and move on. And, meditation is a great way of doing that, understanding, clearing your body and understanding your body, and just grounding your body. And I'm really big on the seven chakras too. And being able to really align yourself. And even what you mentioned before, when you're, as we get older, our hormones start to decline, just like everything else. Our collagen declines, everything declines, our
Mhm.
metabolism declines, our melatonin declines, everything starts to decline. So then we have to really be on top of things, and really, keep on track of our body. And I always tell people, go get a blood test, every, maybe 3 to 6 months, go get a full blood workout, go to a functional medicine doctor where they do different blood works than they do with regular doctors. And they check out everything. They see what you're deficient in. They see what you need more of and what you need less of. And they can see things sometimes before it even starts to begin, when a problem just about might be occurring, but it's not a problem yet. And, keeping on top of those things could really help. And I think also diet. People don't realize, but everything we put in our body can really have a huge effect on how we feel, how we think, how we act, our energy levels. And, in our society in America, we are just, the food industry, in my eyes, my personal opinion, is corrupt. They think more
Oh,
about the dollar bill than they do about people's health,
yeah.
and, if you see some of the, if you go to Europe, a lot of the foods are banded, and they won't sell a lot of the Americanized foods. And there's a reason for that, because the ingredients we put in some of our foods are so hazardous to a person's body, they won't do it. And, you really have to start reading ingredients. And just because something says something, there's a lot of marketing ways of wording things, and you get the wrong impression of the product, thinking it's
Mhm.
actually good when it might not be so good. So it's really important to start reading labels. When your body, you put something, a substance in your body, and your body doesn't know what it is, it can't break it down. So what it does is it stores it. So if your body is storing toxins, and it's completely storing toxins, your body is full of toxins. It's slowing down your organs. It's slowing down your everything in your body, from healing to thinking to, functioning properly, your overall health, your overall well-being. And it plays a humongous role on how you feel, your longevity, everything. So you really have to, I always like to, for me personally, I always like to detox and uncleanse my body. And I like to, because even the air you breathe, if you go outside, the air is full of toxins, just from
Mhm.
the environment itself. So you really have to start learn different ways, healthy ways, just don't read through these, fad diets on Google. Really, learn what are the good ways of detoxifying your body, and cleansing the body, exercising. You don't have to be an exercise fiend, but you can, 15 minutes of walking is great for the body. Just getting the blood to circulate, could help with
Mhm.
aches and pains, and even hormones. When you get older, you start producing less hormones, both men and women, and a lot of problems occur,
Mhm.
that, and the insomnia, low libido, a whole bunch of things, erectile dysfunction, mood swings, energy, and you go through the whole process.
Going from, clammy to hot to
Yes,
I
hot
mean, just
flashes. Mhm.
yeah, just that whole yo-yo effect is about that. And I know I listened to this one, chiropractor doctor on YouTube, and he just does
Mhm.
little short videos, but, it's like you hear so much on different YouTube channels and stuff like that. But that's the one thing that I like is that I listen to somebody, and sometimes what they're saying has some truth to it for me, but I go,
Yeah.
"Oh, oh, okay," because I know that the universe talks to us, being intuitive,
Yeah.
through different things, and so, like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I started getting, like, different videos that were talking about fish oil, you know?
Mhm.
And it wasn't necessarily that I understand, when you start watching something, then, the algorithms and, all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
get that. I do get that. But there was something in my body that was saying, "Wait a minute, I'm not getting enough of dot, dot, dot."
Right.
And I started asking the question, "Body, do you want fish oil?" You know, the cod liver fish oil.
Mhm.
"Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense."
Yeah.
So I started checking in, and then I was, like, going, "D, I need D." Okay, but my chiropractor has a really good D with some K, and I was, like,
Yeah.
going, "I'm noticing that my body is asking for those the little vitamins that aren't like, you can take Bs and Ds and stuff, but it's looking
Mhm.
for the D with this, or the
Yeah.
the B that has this, this, and this in it, or so I'm, like, starting to take these things that are, like, and I'm noticing
Yeah.
actually my eyes are changing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I
I'm
think that's
actually
just,
getting my sight back.
oh, it's improving. Well, they have great vitamins and supplements that have a combination, like a combo blend of all the vitamins and minerals that your eyes need,
Mhm,
essentially. And you could notice. I've noticed when I've taken certain supplements, for my eyes, I've noticed an improvement because,
mhm.
you're feeding your body the what it might be deficient in. And you can definitely notice an improvement sometimes when you take the right vitamins and supplements and
Ex
minerals.
exactly. I know that I have someone in my life that was like, "Why are you taking my vitamins? If you eat a good basic menu, you know, good basic meals, you shouldn't need vitamins." And I'm going, "I can agree with that statement. The thing is, though, my body went through the ringer,
Yeah.
and I'm coming from 0 in a way."
Mhm.
Literally, not producing hormones, right? Coming
Yeah.
from basically 0, I need the stuff to build me up.
Right.
And like I told him, I said, "Even if it's the placebo effect, this is the best I've ever felt, so what the hey?"
Mhm. But,
What the hey, you know?
with food, food does supply us with a lot of proteins and nutrients and antioxidants and stuff like that, but there are certain things that we can't get enough of just through
Mhm,
food. We need like different vitamins and supplements and minerals because antioxidants, like you find those in blueberries. Do you know how many blueberries you would need to eat to get a sufficient amount of antioxidant?
exactly.
So you have to think of it in that sense. So you do, supplements and vitamins and minerals are good to have in your diet. And that's why it's good to get blood tests so you know which ones you should be taking and which ones you don't really need. But vitamin D, zinc, those are great to have in your daily, yeah, diet. There are a lot of brands of vitamins out there that are good, that are for people in their middle ages and their younger
Mhm.
ages, and they make it just specifically for what age group you're in, because at different age groups you need different amount of quantities.
Exactly, and the one thing that I would, understand, my dad was a chiropractor. And
Hmm.
so we learned about who makes vitamins makes a big difference. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm just gonna make a short little commercial here. Check into who's making your vitamins to know
a
how
hundred
true
percent
your vitamins are. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna go on a soapbox about that, but I just wanna give people that information.
Oh, 100%.
Check into where some of the um, main companies, the main labels
Yes.
are made from, pharmaceutical people,
Hmm.
and they're all about money, not about health.
Yeah.
So the grade of vitamin D might not be the best. The grade of vitamin A might not be the best. So, or Bs, Bs are very important, and magnesium. Oh my
Magnesium is
god.
important. Most people are magnesium deficient, so it's important
Yes.
to get, the right amount of magnesium because your body needs magnesium in order to function well, and most people are deficient in it. And yeah, my husband's a chiropractor also, so we were always very aware of what kind of vitamins, because a lot of vitamins and a lot of supplements, even they trick you by putting fillers in, and
Mhm.
you're paying. Let's say you're paying for a vitamin B, but they have all these different fillers and they're giving you just a small quantity of vitamin B, and that's what you're really paying for. So you should turn over that label. And I always say, if you can't pronounce it, don't take it,
Don't
because
take it.
it's not good for you if you can't pronounce it.
Exactly, and that's why, like, even if I eat sour cream, even if it's sour cream is the only ingredient,
Hmm.
even if it's not the less fat or all that, but it's less product. I'm getting a truer product, and there's been conversations. I use butter, and
Hmm.
there was conversations about, well, shouldn't we use butter has a lot of fats in it. But what fats? There's a better fat. There's a lot of, I mean, yeah, there's gonna be the
Right.
saturated fats. There's gonna be the not so good fats, but there's also good fats in good butter, so
Yeah.
it's that fine line between you're gonna have a little bit of this with a little bit of that, but that's life, is you have
Right.
a little bit of the not so what good with and it's not we're not trying to talk to you about, uh, and I actually didn't even think this conversation was going to be about this kind of thing, but I said we never know where this conversation is going to go in the comments, right? Or in the description, that when you're talking about this, we're going to have a little bit of this with a little bit of that. But it's
Yeah.
that, like somebody was saying, the 80/20. Do something more 80% better so you can have the
Right.
20% going out to eat at Chinese restaurants or the Mexican restaurants or whatever you're
Right.
gonna go to, but balance it out so that you can
Right.
feel, because 'cause I'm noticing, like, I ate something and I'm, like, going, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have eaten that," right? But at the same time, though, my body's healing enough that I can recoup from doing that. I'm not going down the rabbit hole as much as I
Yeah.
used to be. I'm actually able to kind of lift myself back up again, and, you know so listening to your body. So do you have an understanding how your body talks to you? Do you
Oh,
can
definitely.
you yeah, can you give some definitions on how can somebody who doesn't know how to listen to their body start knowing, "Oh, that's a sign my body's talking to me."
I think you have to understand, start looking at when you do things, how is your body responding? And I tell people too, you can make a little journal if you're a newbie, like, okay, let's, for instance, we're talking about food. If you get really tired, like some people, they eat a meal and then they want to go to sleep afterwards, that's because your body's having a hard time breaking it down, and your body's working double time to break it down. So those foods aren't probably that good for you,
Mhm,
and if you're getting stomach cramps, or if you're getting, your body might be telling you that maybe these foods aren't so good for you, or even if you have constipation, maybe you're not getting enough of water, if you're feeling, fatigue, why are you feeling fatigue? You could have low hormones, you could be overdoing it. Are you stressed? You have to start really thinking about why your body's feeling the way it is, and where are those symptoms coming from, and what part of the body, where are you feeling it, because your body talks to you in different ways, and sometimes you just get messages too. Your body is just telling you, and just things pop into your head, and you have to go with it. There's a reason why. I always believe the universe talks to us, and we have to really listen,
mhm,
and it sends us signs, and we have to be aware of those signs. And one of them could be the way our body feels, the messages we get in our heads, just like, I don't believe so much in coincidences. I think, things always happen for a reason. And, we have to really start, thinking about things, why am I getting shoulder pain? Am I doing too much? Are the weight on my shoulders, they say when you have too much weight on your shoulders, if you're
mhm.
carrying too much stress, maybe that could be it. or, maybe it could be something else. You have to really examine yourself and examine your body and see what your body likes and what it dislikes and what's working and what's not working. No matter what age you are, you should be feeling good. You should be feeling energetic. You should be happy.
Mhm.
And if you're not, then there's things in your life that need some tweaks, and you have to reevaluate yourself and reevaluate your body, your mind, and your spirit, and everything. It's the way we eat, the way we think, retraining the brain. We get into really bad habits. We get in life, like, not always we don't do it on purpose, but we might see the way we grow up and we carry those same traits, or we just might like
Mhm.
something and it might not be good for us, but we've been doing it for so long, it's just become habit, and
Mhm.
sometimes those habits are hard to break. So, and when you realize they're really not benefiting you and you realize that you're not going in a good direction, you have to kind of retrain the brain slowly to do it differently. Like, I cut sugar out of my diet. That was hard. I felt like a heroin addict. It was like, I did. I was like, I want my sugar, It was like, I stopped using it in coffee. I was drinking my coffee black. I stopped, the sweets. I was, yeah, and I did it gradually. I didn't just do it on one day, but it was hard, and now when I eat something sugary, I don't like the taste of it. I can taste right away if it has too much sugar in it and I don't want it. But
Mhm.
going through it, it even put me through like a mood swing. I was like really antsy, and it's like, it sometimes you have to try to break the habits and do what's best for your body.
Exactly. Well, for me, like, I was going through where almost for several, I would say for a good year, I was having these low grade migraines. You know,
Yeah.
I could still function, and I was like, "What is going on?" I was working on my hormones, I was doing better, and I was taking my liver was really detoxing, and so I was limiting my food out quite a
Yeah.
bit. But out of habit, I was eating certain things. So, like, I was eating corn chips for a while,
Mhm.
and then because I'm not a necessarily I don't have a wide range of food I eat.
Right.
I'm right out there. I'm a picky eater. I don't even like
Mhm.
pepper, it's too spicy for me. So, it's like,
Mhm.
it's one of those things, but I was noticing that I was feeling headachy. Well, I stopped eating corn because my ears were starting to hurt. That's
Your
how
body can't
my
digest corn.
yeah, my allergen came up where I felt like I had ear infections.
Mhm.
People are like going, "That's an allergy?" Yes, that's how my body is telling me that I get every time I eat corn, my ears instantly start hearing, and then it's almost like lockjaw. I can't hardly
Yeah.
move my jaw. And then, I was like going, "Okay, that's not fun." Okay, I cut out corn, right? And so that
Right.
felt better. But then I moved to potato chips, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
I was having this low grade headache and I'm like going, "What is it?" And then one day I stopped eating potatoes. I thought,
Wow.
maybe that's it because I ate mashed potatoes the night before and this morning I have a headache. And I'm like going, "Oh, when I stopped eating potatoes, my headaches basically went away." But I might have been, but then I would eat certain chicken and I would get headachy too. And I'm like going, "Oh, it's the pesticides."
Yeah.
It's the pesticides, and so, like, we grew some potatoes, and I can tell you that I'm eating them a little bit,
Right.
but I'm not gonna throw myself into it, right? Because
Yeah.
my body has
Mhm.
told me no. I mean,
Right.
I eat tomatoes and I break out in hives, so obviously nightshades are not my friend in a very positive way right now.
Yeah.
As I'm healing, I can tell you, though, that when I go out to eat, I can have a baked potato.
Right.
And I just won't eat potatoes for about 2 to 3 weeks out on either side of it, right? So it's that finding that balance of listening to the body and saying, "Oh, okay." And I can tell you that there's sometimes when our bodies are going through a detox. I
Right.
can't do detoxes. I don't do detoxes. I can't go through taking something and, like, I don't do smoothies. I don't do a lot of that detox, but what I can do is I can do spontaneous, um, where I don't eat, right? Or so I don't
Or
eat for a
even
good.
like teas you can have, detox teas, and they have like all the
Mhm.
supplements and all the healthy ingredients to detox, and even dandelion tea is very good for detox and things like that. If
And
you,
milk thistle and that kinda
yeah,
stuff, and that's the thing that I think that's my next thing is because that language is starting to come up to me. It's coming
yeah,
through different ways, and it's like, "Okay, body, then you want you're at that point where we can." I was so like, not working well that if I would've went into detox, I would've went into throwing myself over. It was easier for me to eliminate and
yeah,
to step back and to thin up what I was doing so that my body could
right,
come back to a neutrality, so then I can figure out where to go. Does that make sense? So
right. Yeah.
sometimes people wanna jump in onto this ship or jump onto that ship, and sometimes we can't jump. We have to step because our bodies are very sensitive
They
to,
are.
I mean, and they want to heal. Our bodies want to heal.
Oh,
And
100%.
and so if you give it a chance, guess what? There's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that almost a month, all I ate was celery and peanut butter. That's all my body really wanted was celery and peanut. My husband was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking vitamins. I'm doing
Mhm.
this, I'm doing that." But my body basically wants just what was in celery.
Right.
And then I do the Adams peanut butters. It's literally just peanuts, and then I add my own organic or the local honey from the whole local
Yes.
bee, and so I'll add those 2 in. So it was like just peanut butter and just honey with celery, and so it was very simple. It was a very simple way to negotiate going through things. So
Yeah.
it's time for us to wake up because I know a lot of people are waking up to a spiritual path.
Mhm.
They forget the body wakes up to that spiritual path just as much as
Oh,
they do.
yeah. Okay, yeah, for sure.
So
You know,
let's go down that little bit of a rabbit hole, you
mhm.
know? That last week's show was about rabbit holes. So let's go down let's go down that spiritual path and what happens to our understandings, because I know that you've come through that path very
Yeah.
well with your awakening, and I've always been on a spiritual path, so my journey has been a little bit different than a lot of other people. So, can you talk a little bit about how your body woke up as your spiritual path awoken?
Yeah, I've always been a very spiritual person. I've always had a strong tie with the universe, and I've always, meditated, and I've done yoga, and I really paid attention to what my body does and how it functions and the thoughts I would get in my head or the signs I would get. I would look around and, I would see different symbols, even if a blackbird flew around me, like and very close to me, like I'll say, one time when one of my family members had passed, a blackbird, a very large blackbird came by me and just flew right by me. And I looked up what the spiritual symbol of a blackbird was. And it was that they had crossed over to the side. It was new beginnings, that they were in a better
Mhm.
place. So, I was always a very spiritual person, and I always liked sound therapy. I would do the singing bowls and the chakra bowls, and those are very relaxing, and it really calms the body, and it really gives clarity. And it also, I would notice that my spiritual awakening was getting even stronger and stronger. The more I did the chakra bowls, the more I did the meditation, the
Mhm.
more I became aware of my inner self. And it was having to release that inner power within me, because everybody carries that inner power. We all have that
Mhm.
strength, but
We
not
do.
everybody realizes how much power, in a good way, that we have, and they don't know how to use it. And one of the things I always say is that we have to learn how to accept ourselves for who we are. And once we accept ourselves for who we are, and we learn to love ourselves, stop comparing yourself to everybody else, and to focus on you. Do you love yourself? When you look in the mirror, are you happy with who you see? If you're not, what can we do to make yourself
Mhm.
feel better as a person? Start creating short-term goals, start creating long-term goals, and then start thinking of things you could do to get to that place where you're going to be happy with yourself.
Mm.
And meditation was always a great way. And I also used to like to use music. I would have, certain types of music on. And a lot of times when I had music on, like words would just pour into my head. And it was just like somebody was talking to me. So I
Mhm.
really paid attention to all those things. And I really, started to really listen to the signals that my body was giving me, the signals that my mind was giving me. I constantly worked on change, and positivity and communication was key, and also gratitude. I think with everything that happens in life, every negative thing that happens, we could always pull something positive from it. Everything's a learned experience in my book, and it strengthens us when we go through obstacles. And it's to how do we use that strength, and how do we move forward? And that's what I teach to a lot of people too. And and really understanding who we are as a person, and then really learn to love ourselves and build that self-esteem. Because once you start accomplishing those little goals I was telling you about, you're going to start feeling good about yourself, and your self-esteem is going to get higher, and you're going to get stronger. And then you're going to realize, hey, I'm a great person. I could be this person. What's your true potential in life? Who do you want to be? It's never too late. Some people say, it's too late. No, it's not. I had a 70-year-old woman do yoga in my yoga class next to me. If she could do it, I could do it. And I think she did it better than I did. And I'm looking at her, and I'm huffing and puffing, and we're doing hot yoga in a really hot room, and she's going at it like it's like this, and I'm like, with the hot heat, and she's just going at it and going at it. I'm like, she could do it, I could do it, And
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to believe in yourself, and it's having that faith, that courage, wisdom, strength, and hope, and just having the ability to believe in yourself and to really listen to those signals. There was a gentleman on my show, and he talked about how I believe he called it the emotional code. And he talked about how our bodies are constantly telling us what's wrong. And he wrote a book about how to listen to your body, and to how to understand what your body is telling you, and why it's telling you these things, and
Mhm.
where it's coming from, and and the true meaning behind it. And it's really, I had several people on my show come, and they were experts in that field. So there's a lot of research. Our bodies give us signals, and it's those reasons. There's reasons to back up why our body gives us these signals, and what they mean, and and how we could actually help our bodies. And it's really, you have to really think of yourself, as put yourself on a plateau, and really care for yourself. We're not machines, we're not robots. We're human beings, and we have to treat ourselves with love and care, just like you would do with a puppy. You have to treat
Mhm.
yourself like that. And I'm a big believer in self-love, taking the time to
Yes.
take time for yourself, to learn to love yourself, learn to do things for yourself, quiet walks, take some baths, journal. I love journaling. Sometimes you could things just pour out of you, and sometimes those repressed emotions can come rising up, and you could just write it down, and no one's going to see it but you. And to take away the negativity in your life is so important. Get those negative people out of your life. As much as you may like them, they might be great people, but they carry a lot of negativity. And when
Mhm.
people carry a lot of negativity, you have to make a choice. You have to say, all right, they're draining me, because when you're around negative people, their energy becomes your
Is
energy.
ours. Yes.
And you can feel the draining feeling when you're around negative people. And you have to make that decision. Do I want to feel good? Do I want to feel energetic? Do I want to move forward? And you might have to distance yourself. That doesn't mean you X the person out. You just might have to keep your distance, and really focus and put yourself around a group of people are going to fill you with positive energy and pump you up. And when you fall, they're going to catch you. And and really start to build a lifestyle around positivity, and having gratitude. People, we take things for granted, especially in our country. And the littlest things, that get taken away from us, we don't realize how important they are until they actually get taken away. So really
Exactly.
gratitude for every little thing in our lives, and the people in our lives. Sometimes we get so used to having certain people around us that we take it for granted. But God forbid, if that person leaves, or that person, something happens, you know, you have to really learn how to just take it. You live in the now is what I call it. And really have gratitude that we have these things in our lives, and we have these people in our lives, and to show some kindness and warmth and love. Well, saying a few nice words to even a stranger can make a person's day. A compliment on something, or just, say something about their smile. And, you could change your whole person's, view and momentum for that whole entire day, just by saying a few nice words. Hatred doesn't get us anywhere.
No.
Kindness does. And when people say, hateful things towards you, or if they say things that really upset you, it's you're not you with the problem, it's them with the problem. And those are the people you have to distance yourself from.
Exactly, and, while you were talking about that, I got the intuitive hit that, you know, that a lot of our country or our earth, that there like people say that a lot of our stuff is the first world problems,
Yeah,
that people who don't have food, who don't have this and don't have that. But I can probably tell you, I just got this big aha while you're saying that, and I'm just gonna speak here. That, that a lot of those people are going through so much that they don't have the ability to go through their emotions.
yeah,
What would be the perspective that if us as the US, because there's different parts of the world that represent different organs and different situations, right?
yeah.
That what would happen if us in the US had the luxury of dealing with our emotions so the world can process emotion?
That would be amazing. I think the one thing we lack is coping skills. We don't teach people how to cope. We
No,
educate
we don't,
people on
but there again, though, what even though we may not have to. I mean, I there's a lot of our country in the US and in Canada do struggle with food, clean water. I'm not trying to disown that, but
yeah.
there's enough of us that live in the city and have better lives, that if
Mhm.
we learned our coping skills and started dealing with our emotions, what could we do for the world if we started process? Because if one processes emotions, then everyone can process emotions. And what would we do for our world if we were, because a lot of people they just kind of, oh, this is a first world problem. I don't want to think about grief in that way. This is a
Yeah,
first world problem. I don't want to think about my car breaking down. It's like that's all a first world problem. But what
yeah,
happens if we're able to negotiate those emotions? Because we're meant to deal with those emotions so that the people in, let's say, Africa that are starving right now, that don't have the time because they're in survival so much, deal
yeah,
with things. Why we're here for a reason. Every one
yes,
of us is here for a reason. And, like, my
yes,
girlfriend who's, stays she's older, she stays in her house a little bit more. Maybe that is the why that we have so many people who stay in their homes and just sit there because they're able to process through life in a little different way so that people over in India who are struggling with life can deal with their emotions, you know?
right.
I've always heard people saying that they are holding space for people in this world, and it's like, wow, they really are. They really are giving
Yeah,
opportunity a chance, and so but then we still have to take care of our bodies because
right.
it's a healthy I with the healthy we, right? It's the healthy
We need to
I
give
with the
back.
healthy we.
We really need to learn how to give back because that's what it's all about. It's not taking,
Mhm.
taking, taking. It's
Mm-mm.
learning how to give back, and if everybody could just give a little bit to somebody, the world would be such a better place. And if we learn to like not be so judgmental and labelize and stigmatize people, the world will be an amazing place because we come from a society where there's so much stigmatization and there's so much judgment. Everyone has opinion about everybody except for themselves, and that's a great way of ignoring
Mhm,
the
mhm.
flaws within yourself. And maybe people need to stop making judgments on others, and until you walk through that person's shoes you have no right to make judgment on them, and take a step back and really look at themselves and what could they do to make themselves a better person, so once they become that better person, they can give back to society and they can give back to the universe, and make people help people in ways that are profound.
Exactly. I work in elementary school in the morning, and that's what I tell the kids. You don't have to be friends, but you can be friendly.
Yes,
You can be
exactly.
kind, you can be friendly. You
Exactly.
don't have to be interwoven in their life, but you can
Yes.
smile at them, you can say hi to them, you can even, if they bump into you, say, "Sorry, I didn't mean to be in your way," and then they can say, "Sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you because I
Yes.
was not watching where I was going," it's that tug and pull of being willing to see the higher picture and the greater picture for the reason. Because this is what I say is, why should I judge? If I haven't done it in this lifetime, I've done it in others, you know?
Yes.
And we
Mhm.
all have done things in past lives, in
Oh, yeah.
other lives, in future lives, whatever it is. We're all gonna do it. We're all somebody. We're
Yes.
all a somebody at some point. Some of us are street people. Some people of us are presidents. Some people are of the upper wealth, and some of us aren't in the upper wealth. It doesn't matter. In this lifetime, we're here for this reason, and that is to
Yeah.
negotiate life. What are we gonna do about it? What are we gonna do about it?
I think, I think people have to realize too, we're coming into a new generation, and people have to also, even the older generation, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And
Mhm.
once a child is born, we mold that child from the moment they come out of their womb. Even before then,
Yes.
they hear everything. So we really need to really take parenting and even mentoring, seriously, and really show people the right way to do things, and and teach people, not to bully and not to say bad
Mhm.
things and not to hurt others, and to give and to show more love and to show kindness, and to be, that person that we all want everybody to be. I always say, treat someone like you would want someone to treat you, and leave it as
Mhm.
that. And if you don't want to be treated a certain way, then don't do it to somebody else.
But isn't that the sad thing, though? Is we treat ourselves worse than we treat our best friends that we may
Yeah.
not treat nice. And so
Yeah.
where is the perspective with that? Where is this perspective with that? That we go into these moments where we wanna be treated better, but then we don't treat ourselves better. And
Yeah.
that's what mirror's gonna mirror us what we need to work on.
Yeah, and a lot of it is how we feel about ourselves as a person, our
Mhm.
self-esteem. Some people, I remember talking to this person, and she had an alcoholic as a father. And, I was saying how much potential she had. And she said, well, when someone tells you your whole life you're X, Y, and Z, you start to believe it.
Mhm.
So really, it's, when it gets to that point, it's really good to get a therapist or a coach and talk to that person, and try to reconnect with those emotions deep down inside, and get them to kind of, to get all those repressed emotions out, and to learn how to really love yourself, and to move forward, and to heal yourself, because all that is pain, anger. Anger leads to depression. And we don't want that. And suicide, you see so many suicides each year.
Mhm.
We don't want that either. So it's really important for people to, if they start feeling, if they don't feel good and they don't see themselves improving, they can't do it by themselves, and they don't
Mhm.
know how, then they need to go for help. And it's okay to go for help.
It is.
Everybody, you see it now. People, everybody I meet, has a coach. Everybody that I meet, they've been to a therapist, and they talk, so highly of a therapist. Finding the right person you can connect with, and learning how to work with that person to get to the next level, to feel good about yourself, and to really reach that true potential that you have.
Exactly. I think it's easier now to find someone that works with you. And I know I
Yeah.
do that kind of coaching too myself. And because of the fact that, like I've been saying lately to one of my themes that I've been kind of repeating is we got to disrupt the disruptor, which is the
Yeah.
old patterns that the mind likes to repeat. And
Yes,
so
those
we
bad.
have to disrupt the disruptor and start believing something. Stop. That's
Mhm.
not true anymore. I'm moving forward. Stop.
Yes. Yes.
I'm believing something different about myself, and that is kindness. And
Yes.
and so with that it is time to really work on what our mind is. I've understood that some people think that they're dealing with their ego, and actually they're dealing with their mind.
Yeah.
And so, with that a lot of times our ego is the one that is, getting us up on the pedestal, but our mind is actually the one that is taking us down the rabbit hole, keeping us in
Most.
a pattern, keeping us in the knowings that we had from when we were growing up. What our culture has taught us to be, what our
Mhm.
religions have taught us to be. Our mind is on that repeat recorder, right? And we have
Yeah.
to sometimes take that reel off the recorder and put on another statement, and so that
Yeah.
we can be our better selves.
And, you can only help someone if they wanna be helped,
Mhm.
and that's the thing too. Sadly, you could see someone that needs help and you could try to reach out and help them, but if they're not willing to help themselves, then, you can't help them, and they have to get to that point in life where they come to that final ground where they fall flat on their face and you're like, "Okay, I don't wanna feel like this anymore." And then they get themselves up and they look for that help or they look for that change. But, usually there's always a root cause when we feel a certain way. There's always a root cause of why we're feeling that way and why we think that way. And it's getting to that root cause. And then, like you said, making changes and,
Mhm.
and retraining the way we think.
Exactly. Thank you, Stacy. This has been an amazing journey. We're at the end of our hour, sadly. Sadly, sadly, sadly. We're gonna have to do this again if you're so I know it's late for you. It's, what is it, 7, now 8 o'clock for
Yeah.
you? And so with that, but how can people reach you? I know I have it in the on in the comment section, or not in the comment, but in the, description. But how can people reach you?
They can go on stacychillemi.com, and that's STACYCHILLEMI.com. And I also have another website called coachstacychillemi.com. And I'd be more than happy. I'm on all the social platforms, so they can find me on all the social platforms. And I'll be happy, if they contact me to help them in any way I can.
Well, thank you. And also too, you can look down on my community page on my YouTube channel, and I have a video that I did with her so that, if you there's information in that one too, if you want to go to that. I want
I'm
to
also
thank Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm offering a 30-minute coaching session, and for anyone that wants to talk to me and see if they want to overcome different obstacles in life or reach their true potential, or they want to do accountability coaching, that they can reach me on coachstacychillemi.com. And we could set up a free coaching session where I could talk to them and help them and see if we can make progress.
Well, that sounds like a blessing. Thank you so much, Stacy. Please stick around. I'm Natasha Venter. Please be willing to accept that this was a perspective that we shared with you. This is an idea. See what fits in your truth. See what you can come up to your greater good. Because every person is their journey, their personal journey. This is just a perspective to maybe stir the pot a little bit to give you a chance to be more successful in the greater health of you, mentally, physically, spiritually. And Veronica says, "Thank you, Natasha and Stacy. Thank you, Veronica, for being." She's a good friend and has been a client of mine for many, many years. Um, and as we're going forward, life is happening. And please don't try to do it alone if you can't. Reach out. And I know for me, I like to do my spiritual counseling with people, and I'm actually, getting some great results with a lot of the sessions that I'm having lately because people are willing to walk towards the healing avenue.
They
And
are. They
and
are.
what a blessing that is. I'm just so excited for people's journey, to do better. So you can reach me at angelicclarifications.com. Thank you again, Stacy. See you
Oh, thank
next
you.
Wednesday at
Yes.
4 o'clock Pacific time on Every Day
Mhm.
with an Angel. And Stacy's shows come out on her YouTube channel also. And you can go to there. Regan's back next week. So I'm going to have Regan back with me next Wednesday to start our every Wednesday or every third Wednesday of the month. Looking forward to seeing him again. So blessings to all, and we will see you later. Bye now.
Bye-bye.